Hi folks, and welcome back to the Grumpy Gamer channel. That's it, you guessed it. This is that channel where you get to see this old git play those modern games. So for today's in-car comments, I wanted to discuss the news that the new PS5 Slim has just been revealed. And I don't know why people are calling it a Slim, because it's not actually called a Slim by Sony. It's just called the new PS5 Digital, and then there's a PS5 disc drive with the Blu-ray disc drive player, etc. Now, first few thoughts on this. There's one thing that doesn't make sense at the moment. I haven't seen the English prices for it yet, but in America, the disc drive version is going to cost you $500, and the digital version is going to cost you $450. The only problem is, if you buy the digital version, you can buy the disc drive separate to add on, but it'll end up costing you in total $530, because it's $80 for the additional disc drive. So why would you do that? Or why wouldn't you just buy the disc drive version? Well, surely, if you bought the digital and then later on down the line you go, oh no, I need the disc drive, surely you just buy it first. I don't quite get it. Or why are they charging more? Because that doesn't make sense. Why wouldn't they just charge you the extra $50 for it? I don't get it. So if you're going to end up doing that, buying the PS5 digital version and then later on down the line get the disc drive and end up paying more than if you'd have just bought the disc version in the first place, you're mad. Don't see the point in that at all. It's got a slightly bigger hard drive. It's got a 1 terabyte hard drive, so there's a little bit extra there. Not much, but it's definitely welcome. I'm not sure about the overall look of it. I like the way that the plates are split in two, but I'm not so sure about the top bit being glossy. They're still keeping the bottom sides matte, but then the top bits are going to be glossy. I don't really like glossy, especially gloss black, because it easily scratches when it gets covered in dust and you wipe it off. You end up getting scratches and it just looks a bit rough. So I'm not sure about that. I'd probably, when you can, I'd probably change the top face plates back to matte white. But I'm sure there's going to be lots of iterations on the side plates. Another strange thing is you have to, if you want to stand it vertical, I have my PS5 vertical. I don't like it led down. I think it looks a bit weird. I think it looks much better stood up, much more sort of space agey and stylish stood up. But you have to pay extra for the stand if you want to be able to stand it vertical. They give you a stand to lay it horizontal, but not vertical. You got to pay an extra $30, about another 25 quid, just to be able to stand it vertical. So yeah, not quite sure why they've done that either, not just included it, obviously to save money, I'm sure, and just pass that cost on to us. Yeah, so I certainly won't be buying one. I don't need to. I've got my normal PS5. Apparently it's 30% smaller and about 18% lighter. I don't care about the weight. It doesn't make any difference. It's sat on a unit. Makes no difference to me. But it is apparently 30% smaller. So I'm sure people will buy it. And if you haven't got a PS5, then yeah, it's definitely worth getting. I would wait until this one comes out. I think it's coming out next month. So yeah, I would get one if you haven't got one and you're looking for a PS5. I'd still buy the disc version, because I still like buying games on disc, especially games I want to keep. I'll buy on disc if I know it's going to be a great game. I like to keep a physical copy. Yes, we know that most of the game isn't on the disc anymore anyway. It's normally about 10% and you've got to download the rest. But I still like that disc, and obviously one of the biggest reasons I like buying games on disc is because you can trade them in afterwards. So, I wouldn't buy a all digital version. Nope, because then you're just tied to the store, and the store is a bit of a con. You've got games on there that are years old and they're still charging 50 quid for, when you could get them at your local CEX store or something like that for about 8 quid. So yeah, I'd always have the disc version. Now the one thing I would say about this, what Sony have done, it's the one thing I think they've really got right this generation. I know with Xbox, they brought out the Xbox Series S and the Xbox Series X, and the two different prices, one's cheaper than the other. But then again, the lesser console, the Series S, is a lesser console. Graphically, it's not as good. It hasn't got the horsepower. So I think what Sony did by releasing a digital and a disc version of exactly the same console, one cheaper than the other, I think that was a much, much better way to go. Because you as a consumer, you're paying less if you want to, if you're on a slightly tighter budget, but you get exactly the same experience as the more expensive one, whilst you don't get that with Xbox. The interesting thing is, as the figures stand at the moment, 75% of Xboxes that have been sold are Series S. So only 25% out there are actually the more expensive console, which I find really interesting, to be honest. I'm not sure why that is, whether a lot of people have come over to Xbox, whether they bought it as a second console, so that's why they've gone for the S. They've already got, say, a PlayStation, and they didn't want to go the whole hog with the X, so they've just bought that to play the Series S, to play the exclusives, maybe. Me, no, I wouldn't have done that. Always go for the most up-to-date, most next-gen console. Otherwise, I'd be annoyed. If I bought a Series S, it would bug me that I'm not getting the full next-gen experience. It just would. So, yeah, the Xbox Series X is the default for me, 100%. Anyway, we're getting off the PS5 subject. So, what do you think, folks? Do you think the new PS5 Slim, although, like I say, it's not been called the Slim, it's just called the new PS5 Digital and disc drive version. What do you think? Are you going to pick one up? If you've already got a PS5, are you going to try trading it in and get the new Slim version? If you haven't got a PS5, is this going to push you into getting one? Let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think. So that's it for today, folks. Until next time, I'll see you guys on the other side. Adios.